Hello and welcome to She Boss Talk. I am your host, Shanté R. Roddy. Thank you so much for joining me today for this special broadcast on COVID-19 relief programs that are important to all of you out there who are entrepreneurs and business owners, as well as your families. So I wanted to come on to bring you these updates and also provide the opportunity for you to ask questions. So this is going to be a forum for Q&A. And as always, if I don't answer your questions during the live broadcast, I always follow up after the show to answer your questions. So do please come in, drop a comment, let me know who you are, where you're hailing from, what your business is. Feel free to drop that also in the comments, hit that love button. And I'm going to just verify that I am broadcasting where I need to be. And then also I am going to just share this out. And like I said, as I'm doing this, I'm asking that you also share this out as well, because we want this to get out to as many entrepreneurs and business owners as possible. That is going to be very important. So there's a lot of new things happening, a lot of updates, challenges that you all of entrepreneurs and business owners have been having, including myself. And I always encourage you all to be advocates for yourself and be advocates for each other. That is going to be important for us to get through this time that we're in and be able to really survive and thrive right on the other side of this. So I am sharing this out, and then we will get right to it. And then I also have information, as always, in the description, and I'll be also following up with comments for additional information on programs and grant opportunities, as I always do as well. So do, after this broadcast, circle back, and in the comments, you'll see additional resources and information that is available for you. Okay, so I have shared out the broadcast, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. I first wanted to talk about some security matters that are going to be important for you, possibly. So the first one that came out yesterday, or early this morning actually, is that there was an error with the Trump administration and how they handled the student loan, your student loan payment. So as you know, as part of the CARES Act, there's a benefit that all student loans are actually put on hold until September 30th. And not just put on hold, but they're supposed to set it up where you are not supposed to be impacted. Your credit report is not supposed to be impacted because of your student loans. However, the contractor they hired to set up the postponement of the student loan payments made an error and sent a report of 4.8 million student loan borrowers information to the credit reporting agencies as a deferment. And so the Congress, when they initiated the CARES Act, they did not want to set it up in any way that was going to negatively impact any of our student loan information on our credit reports. So I want you to be mindful of that. And again, this just came out this morning, so I will put that in the comments after this broadcast, because I want you to just to monitor your student loans and make sure that you follow up, because they are working like aggressively right now to correct that error so that it is not negatively impacting your credit report. Another security concern that you want to be made aware of, especially if you're on the pandemic unemployment assistance program that is funded by the federal government. I received a notification yesterday that there was a breach. There was some problem with how they had coded information in the system that enabled other people to see my information and possibly some of your information as well. So if you received any email from your Bureau of Workers Unemployment Compensation, please do be mindful of that. Pull your credit report. You may want to put a fraud alert on your credit report. That's if you received an email from either Deloitte right? Their auditing company or the your state unemployment agency. And this is concerning the pandemic unemployment assistance program that I'll be talking about in a few minutes. So I wanted to start just with the stimulus that is currently ongoing under the CARES Act. Many millions of Americans have already gotten their stimulus payments, but there are some of you all out there that have not gotten it. So they are issuing checks now. They're also issuing out debit cards. So you should be one of those getting that. And again, you need to have had, if you are required to file your taxes, to file either your 2018 or 2019 to be able to get those funds that you're entitled to. Okay, so that is for the stimulus payment of the $1,200 currently being issued out by the Treasury Department to all Americans. So I'm sure most of you gotten yours. If you haven't, if you have some challenges regarding your stimulus payment, please feel free to put it in the comments and I'll see how I can help you and point you in the right direction if you're still waiting on that stimulus payment. Okay, so but everyone's situation is uniquely different as to why you may not have received it. But if you go to www.irs.gov, you can track your stimulus payment and they will let you know what's going on. They fixed a lot of the issues that they had with the programs, making regular updates. So you should be able to get a status to know what's going on with your stimulus check. Okay, so again, if you have any other questions about the stimulus payments, please put them in the comments. Next, I wanted to talk about the Paycheck Protection Program, which is really important. It's another relief program that was issued and made available to small business owners who need help during this time, right? And this program is really to help with payroll. One of the clarifications I want to make for you is to let you know that these programs are open to small business entrepreneurs, whether or not you have employees, okay? Whether or not you are registered as a business. If you've been operating as a business before February 15th or January, right? So if you were already operating your business, you qualify for a lot of these programs, and you qualify even if you are a solopreneur. So I want to make sure that you're not missing out on the opportunity to get money, right, from these programs that you need to really help you to really survive through this time and be able to thrive and pivot and do whatever else you need to do for your business and for your family. These monies are out there and available. The Paycheck Protection Program, like I said, is really to help support payroll, to keep people employed, right? So it's an incentive to help small businesses keep their employees employed or rehire to sustain employment, right? So that everybody is not on unemployment and that they have a team of people that can support them in recovering through this pandemic. So that's what the Paycheck Protection Program is. This is the forgivable loan program. So that what that means is if you meet the certain criteria that is set through the Paycheck Protection Program, then you can qualify for 100% forgiveness. What that means again is that that's free money. Okay, so even if you took out a loan, it's $150,000 loan. You met the criteria. You submit your application for forgiveness. You meet all the requirements. They forgive 100% of that $150,000 as though it was never a loan. Okay, and it was a grant, free money to you. And if you're a solopreneur, you can really get up to a maximum of $20,833. Let me say that again. If you are a solopreneur, you have no employees, you are considered an employee of one, okay? So what you want to do with this program is just check your tax return. Tax returns are going to be very important for you for every one of these different programs that I'm referencing today. Check your tax return and see what your net profit was, right? Your net income, not your gross, because they're going based on what your net is, okay? To determine how you're going to calculate how much of a loan you can possibly get that can be forgiven, okay? And if you apply for this loan, what the requirement is that you put 75% of the loan towards payroll. So if it's you and you're an employee of one, that 75% you're paying yourself. Okay, if you have employees, you're putting it towards payroll for those employees, right? And it's up to $100,000 per employee that you can get. Okay, that in a loan that can be accounted. And so if you have employees that you pay over 100,000, which is rare for small business, right? Then they just cap it at $100,000 when you're calculating. Okay, so you're calculating the payroll up to 100,000 times 2.5, and that's how they determine what your loan is. So the same, if it's just you, you take your net income, right, which you go by your line 31 on your tax return, right? Go to your Schedule C, right, on your tax return, multiply that by 2.5, and that will tell you how much you would qualify for in a forgivable loan. Okay, and then what you need to do is just make sure that you allocate you allocate your loan to the payroll 75%, and non-payroll will be 25% of the loan. And then you need to be able to show records, right? Just like so this is nothing new, although it's new for some people, but you should always keep records. I say keep a separate records for everything that is related to the Paycheck Protection Program, any of these programs really, and even a separate bank account so you're not confusing it with other transactions that are happening in your business. If you have an accountant, I encourage you to really work with your accountant. They should be helping you through this process. They can also help you in applying for the Paycheck Protection Program. If you have not applied, there is still $100 billion available in Paycheck Protection Program money. Okay, and so they are still funding this program. So you can go, I always recommend start with your bank. If you were denied before by a bank, that doesn't mean that you would be denied somewhere else. Or if you applied and they weren't attentive to you, or they didn't follow through with your application, apply somewhere else. There are a number of companies that are out here available that are approved. So start with your bank. There's also, I always say, Square, Intuit, PayPal that most of us are using. They are approved to be able to fund this program as well. There's special funding in the last round of funding that was provided to help support community banks and smaller financial institutions to focus on getting money to the small businesses, the minority business, the women-owned businesses that missed out during the first round of funding. Those opportunities are still available. Also, I put out an article yesterday. Magic Johnson is funding up to $100 million for minority-owned businesses. So you can even check him out. So his company is authorized to fund minority businesses. So if you're a minority or woman-owned business, I would encourage you to reach out to these programs, but just be careful about which program. Make sure that they are approved, and you can find out which financial institutions are approved to fund your loans, right, as part of the program, by going to www.sba.gov, which is the Small Business Administration who is administering this program. Okay, so just go there, and they have a drop down of you select your region, and they will give you a whole list of providers. But I encourage you to do that, do the calculations, and see if it works best for you. Okay, so that is the Paycheck Protection Program. Please do drop any comments that you have or any specific questions that you may have regarding the application or the forgivable loan part of it. So they released last week or earlier this week the application and more clarification around how to get your loan approved. So some of you have already taken it out. Some of you are scared, afraid to use your money. Don't be. Just keep your records, document everything, why you took out the loan. Just be really strategic about documenting your everything that you're doing with the loan. Have your records in place, but don't afraid to use the loan that you need. Just take the steps to make sure that it's forgivable. If it's not, it's still a 1%. It's a good terms on the loan, but why not have it 100% forgiven, right? But the application now, if you already have the loan, the application is already out and available. I provided it in one of my earlier lives. I'll also drop it in the comments as well. So the application that you would fill out, they're really simple, simplified applications that you submit, but you just have to make sure you have your documentation, know your numbers, plug them in, and be able to go back to your whoever funded the loan for you, right? You're going back to the same bank, same financial institution, and submitting the application to have it approved, okay? So if you've already gotten your funds and you passed that 8-week period, you can do that. One last thing about the Paycheck Protection Program, one thing that is still being discussed, negotiated in Congress is extending the period, right? So based on the CARES Act right now, in order to get your loan forgiven, you must have your your team on payroll for an 8-week period. So they're looking to extend that, and they're looking on making some additional revisions just based on the feedback that they've been receiving from small business owners, because we need these programs to work for us, and not everybody has a ton of employees, right? And some businesses got the loan and weren't able to get back to work, but they didn't want to make you put your people back to work. They just wanted them to be able to get paid, right? Whether they worked or not, through your company, to be able to be on payroll and help you get up and started, as they started lifting the stay-at-home orders, okay? So that's the Paycheck Protection Program. Now I'm going to talk about the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. So this is for all of you, us that are out here. Maybe the Paycheck Protection Program is not for you, or maybe it is, but you can apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. It is administered through your state, but it is funded by the federal government. So they allocated billions of dollars, right, to help support this program that really made it monies available to you so you could get unemployment, which normally, if you're a gig worker, self-employed, independent contractor, small business owner, you would not normally qualify for unemployment. So depending on your state, maybe you applied for the regular unemployment, you were denied, that's okay. Many of the states, that's the process they took you to. You had to be denied in order then for them to move you into the pandemic unemployment program, okay? So it just depends on your state, but this is a great option for you as well, that again, a lot of entrepreneurs and small business don't know is available to you, that you can get this unemployment. You can also get the additional 13 weeks that is covered under the CARES Act, in addition to your normal the normal weeks that are allotted. You get an extra 13 weeks, and you also get the extra $600 a week that you would not normally get. So say, for instance, your normal benefit that you would qualify for is $400. Well, on top of that, you get $600, meaning that you'll be getting $1,000 per week instead of the $400. And that program ends in July 31st, right? And then also, if you have not applied already, you can retroactive back to whenever you lost your work, whenever you stop being able to work under contract, whatever it was that you were doing, you can have it retroactive back to whatever that date was that they started this program. So whenever that was, so if it was in March, or if it was in February, for most people it was sometime in March, but you can have that retroactive. Make sure you indicate that you would like to have it retroactive, okay? So every state is different, okay? And make sure you upload, they're going to ask you for records such as your tax returns. Again, it makes it easier. The process goes faster if you just upload your documents right then and there without them having to come back and request it from you. But if you're in that situation, I would encourage you to apply, because I hear a lot of entrepreneurs saying, well, I just don't think I qualify. Well, how do you know? Apply and let them tell you. But this you definitely can qualify for. They will ask you questions like, did you have to stop working because the the place that you were working closed, or you had to take care of a family member, or you were about to start a work, and then that was canceled due to the COVID-19, they will go through this list of questions, I think maybe 5 or 6 questions like that, and then take you through the process. So definitely consider applying for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. For us, they opened up the portal last week. And when they opened up the portal for us, it went really quickly versus when there were that mass, influx of all those millions of people that were applying early on for the programs. We in Ohio, we were already told we couldn't apply. They didn't have the systems ready to support us. They notified us that they would in mid-May. They allowed us to pre-register, and then it ran a lot more smoothly. So again, that's Ohio, but it may be different for you. Some states were already had the system set up and ready, but majority of them did not. So if you're one of those states, just be patient, but do follow up. Even if you were denied under the regular unemployment, you may be able to qualify under the pandemic unemployment and have that additional income coming in for you to support you again and your family. So that is the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program that is by the federal government, but it is distributed through your state unemployment program. Okay, so that is that. The next I wanted to talk about the EIDL loan. So this is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program that is also administered by the SBA, the Small Business Administration. There have been a lot of issues and challenges with this program. If you've seen any of my other lives, you know that there's been a lot of inconsistencies, some issues with transparency, issues with how they're processing and distributing the money has been really slow. And Congress had a hearing yesterday, actually, or the day before yesterday, in which they were asking about updates of what's going on with the SBA, what's going on with these loans. So the CARES Act, what the CARES Act said regarding this program and what it was intended for per Congress and per the CARES Act is that there's 2 parts of this program. You have the loan, the EIDL loan, that they were supposed to fund up to $2 million. That's part 1. The SBA took it upon themselves because there were so many applicants. Okay, instead of going back to Congress to ask for more funding, they decided that they were going to parse out money. So businesses were supposed to be able to apply for and receive up to $2 million, just depending on your business, right? Well, they capped that at $150,000. So if you're a business and you need $750,000, $150,000 is not going to be enough for you to keep your doors open, right? So this has really been debated, and we're really advocating to get answers from the SBA regarding this and what they're going to do, because that is extremely limiting small business ability to really survive in this time. If they really need, as a business, $2 million, but all you're giving them is $150,000, right? And so there's a lot of businesses in that predicament, like right now. The other part of the loan, the program, was the advance. So that, again, people get confused. This loan is not a forgivable loan. This is like a 3.5% term, a 30-year term loan program that is not forgivable like the Paycheck Protection Program, but it came with an advance grant, okay, of $10,000, no more than $10,000, which was Congress' intent. The SBA, because they had so many applicants, decided that they were going to set it up where they were going to issue out grants $1,000 per employee, okay, instead of the $10,000, okay? So that is being debated right now, and Congress is still waiting for answers up until the hearing the day before yesterday, asking to get information on why they did not go back to Congress and seek more funding and decided to just give people $1,000 per employee. That was not the intent. If you have already applied, really good for you. You are entitled to the grant if you apply before the funding went out. Okay, so the first time, because now when they were refunded, it's only open right now, the portal to agricultural businesses. Don't know if they're going to open it up to additional businesses, but as of today, it's only open to agricultural businesses. But if you apply in April or May before they ran out of funding the first time, you are eligible for the grant. And so I, like you, like myself, there are many out here that did not get the grant. Some people did. Some people did not. Some people got the grant and were not told if they were denied or if they were approved. So it's really been inconsistent. So that's why I put out a live video yesterday to talk about what I did, because we have to be advocates, right? We have to speak up and make our voices heard. So I called the SBA. I'm not just talking about the call line, the customer service, the call center. I found the heads, right, the top leaders in the SBA, called them and wrote them a letter, an official petition to get answers, to let them know, like, this is unacceptable. Like, there are so many inconsistencies with this program, and people aren't getting any information, or if they're getting information, it's inaccurate, right? And so what can we do to solve this problem, to get small businesses their money and get them their grant? So there's a lot of us that's out here that did not get their grant, and then you're just chalking it up like I didn't get it. No, you are entitled to that grant. I'm entitled to the grant. So we could debate all day if we're supposed to get the 10,000. I really believe when it's all said and done, all those that applied and that were in queue are going to eventually get the $10,000, but that would most likely be litigated with lawyers and between Congress and the SBA. But make sure you have your records. Keep your confirmation, that application number that you should have screenshotted when you apply, right? If you got denied, call them back and ask them for a denial letter. There was so many of you, you had to call them and find out that you were denied, right? So when I got my denial letter last weekend, they attached a letter dated April that never got to me until May. Okay, so I have all those records. I have a folder in my email, and I have a folder in my Google Drive where I have all of these records of every correspondence, even phone calls, and who I talked to. Okay, so this is going to be really important for you to keep that documentation. Tell them, okay, you want an official record that you were denied. And also, if you were denied and you didn't get your grant, you want to let them know you are entitled to that grant and you want it. So the process is, what I found out, or what they explained to me, is that if you were denied and you didn't get the grant, then you need to submit a letter, or you need to submit a request for reconsideration. So if you have your denial letter, there's an email, there's a fax number, and a phone number that you can call. Call the number, explain the situation, and then fax and email them a request for reconsideration. Specifically state that you were entitled to the grant that you did not receive, and you are asking that they issue that they deposit it into your bank account. Okay, that's what I did. Okay, and so after this, I will be following up with the SBA. They called me. Okay, so that's important. Never be afraid to advocate for yourself and for other people. I called them, I wrote them a letter of petition, and they called me back. We've just been going back and forth, but I'm assured that I will be speaking to the regional director later on today, because this is real important. This program has had a lot of issues. So just stay tuned for that, and know that if you apply, you got it through, you have your successful submission, then you qualify. So there's false information out there that people are saying, oh, if you weren't approved, you don't get it. That's not true. There are people that didn't even know they were denied and got it. They would not have even made a determination. How Congress set it up was, you were supposed to get a grant of $10,000, no more, within 3 days of successful submission of your application. If that was the case, they would never have made any determination if you were approved or denied within 3 days. They weren't supposed to. They were just supposed to give you the money in 3 days. And so we all watched our bank accounts and saw that we looked at it every day. Days went by, weeks went by, and there was no deposit in our accounts. So anybody that's telling you it's based on approval, denials, that's not true. And the CARES Act, it specifically says that whether or not you are approved, you get the loan and it's free. You don't have to pay it back. You don't have to do anything. It's free money to you. So get your money. Okay, so do that. Follow those instructions. Email them. Find your denial letter. If you don't have one, call and ask for it. Keep it in your records, and then email them, fax them a request for reconsideration, and specifically state that you want your money, your grant money that you were entitled to. Now, if you want your loan, now I applied, I didn't really want the loan, but if you really want the loan and need the loan, include that as well. And your case as to why, you know, depends on why they denied you. Like they denied and you don't even know why you were denied, right? And then there were people denied on credit and didn't have bad credit, and people that had bad credit got it. So again, very inconsistent in how they're handling this and processing and distributing the funds. Okay, so just be mindful of that, and stay tuned for more updates on that EIDL program. Okay, all right. So we talked about the Paycheck Protection Program. We talked about the EIDL program. We talked about the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. Okay, now I want to talk about the HEROES Act. So we're right now getting a lot of benefits under the CARES Act. Okay, so we know the CARES Act is up and running, but we knew there would be a need for additional stimulus coming forward. And so the Democrats proposed the HEROES Act bill. It passed the House. It is now in the Senate. So there's a lot of people talking about, oh, it's dead on arrival and what Trump says and all this. Look, none of that really matters. Anytime a bill passes any branch, it is negotiated with the other branch. So the Senate and the House would negotiate. So it is not unrealistic that the House proposed a bill. They initiated it, right? It is not unrealistic that they initiated, they send it to the Senate and they negotiate the terms. That's what happened during the last time. Okay, that's what dead on arrival means. It means that simply we won't pass this in its current form. Not that we won't do anything, because if they don't do anything, we need to be, again, paying attention to who is working on our behalf and getting us solutions, helping us with stimulus payments so that we're not going out of business. Be mindful of that. Pay attention, right? You have to become part of the political process, because it's really important for you as a person, as an American, and definitely important for you as a small business owner. Okay, so there's many businesses going out of business every day that just decided that it was not even worth it to even attempt, just depending on their business. But we can't afford for millions of small businesses to be closing their doors. Okay, so we have to advocate for ourselves, and I encourage you to write your representatives, right? You write your city council, write your state representative, your congressional representatives, right? Write the SBA. The information is here in the description, where you can go and find out, get their contact information. You can call them, you can email them, you can fax them, depending on whatever format that they use. There's so many options, but I encourage you to use your voice, right, as I have done, and let them know what your concerns are, what your challenges are. If you think there's a situation of unfairness, you need to let them know. There's power in numbers. So a lot of these things are being revised and changed. Why? Because people are speaking up and saying, no, this is not acceptable. This won't work for us. And they need to fix these programs so that they work for us. Okay, so it's not a bad thing. They rolled out this $1 trillion program. Is always enough that there's always going to be hiccups. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be things that don't work. But when you find those things, you have to let them know so that they can improve them. And so they have been doing that with a number of these programs. They've just been slow to do it on the EIDL program. They really behind on that. But with the HEROES Act, there's a lot more stimulus programs that are becoming available. It's the largest package in the history of America. It's supposed to be a $3 trillion package that includes, again, more stimulus money similar to last time, with a maximum of $6,000 per household, right? There's student loan forgiveness in there that is really specifically for those having financial issues, or maybe on their income-based program, forbearance, deferment programs, or in default. So that is going to be negotiated. So it'll be interesting to see what the final bill looks like, and if it includes the student loan forgiveness, because that's something that is really been a hot topic that many millions of Americans want, regardless if it's in the stimulus package. There needs to be something done about student loans. Okay, so they already have the program right now where they're delayed the payments, but they're looking to even extend that into 2021. And then again, those people that are on income-based programs, deferment, forbearance, if you're in default, then as proposed in the HEROES Act, that would provide those people with $10,000 forgiveness, okay? And there's also forgiveness for these other programs, student like scholarships or free money for people working on the front lines, like healthcare workers and these essential workers, so free education for them, those types of things that are in the bill. Expanded unemployment benefits. So I explained that under the current CARES Act, the extension is supposed to end, like for the extra $600 payment, July 31st of 2020. They're looking to extend that to also to 2021. Okay, so there's a lot of things. More SNAP benefits. They're looking at, like, I think a 15 to 20% increase of the maximum SNAP benefit. That's also in there. So there's a lot of good stimulus, right, help in this next bill. It's the largest bill ever, but they need to negotiate it. And I know the Senate is more wanting for companies, like businesses, that have liability coverage so that they're not sued. You know, if somebody is in their shop or happens to get COVID-19, they want more of a package that puts people back to work. So they are really more interested, rather than a stimulus, sending American people another stimulus check, they want to have like a payroll credits. However, that helps the business. What does that do for those that are not employed or not able to go back to an employer, or it's not as easy for them to get back to work, right? So a payroll credit doesn't help those people. So they're going to have to figure out, maybe make a balance, that there's some payroll credits, okay, that business is already getting, by the way. I didn't mention that. There are a lot of credits too. There's 2 credit programs in addition to EIDL and Paycheck Protection Program that a lot of people don't know about, that I'll have to come back on again to talk about it. So the thing is, you can't double dip into these different programs, but they're available, so you just see which one works best for you. But the Senate really wants to put people back to work, and I don't know, it's this thought about free money makes people lazy. I don't agree with that. These are unprecedented times, and thinking that way, people were working hard. They're putting their lives on the line even still. So it's just something with that mentality that kind of rubs me the wrong way. But it's not like everybody is lazy. People were forced to be put out of work. They didn't do that voluntarily. So let's come together and work out a package that is going to be good for the American people, get them back to work, and also help sustain them in finding work, and help them while they're out of work have the extra income that they need to support their families. Okay, so that is the HEROES Act. There's a lot more to it, but that's the summary of, like, the highlights of the program. But there's a lot more in the HEROES Act, and I did provide the link to the bill, but you can actually find the bill in the, there's a link to the congressional website, which is www.congress.gov. You can just put in HEROES Act and it will pull up the bill for you. Okay, so again, that's www.congress.gov. Okay, so do you all have any questions? Again, if you have any questions, I encourage you to drop them in the comments. Let me just see if there's any in here. I don't see any comments. Let me just see. I see you all are in here. I don't see any questions. But don't be afraid to ask questions, because the time is now to ask them, to get your questions answered, because I know a lot of you are out there, you tell me when I go live that how much you appreciate this information, that there's a lot of misinformation, there's no information, there's really nowhere that you can go to get it. But this show, I provide ongoing information and updates regarding the COVID-19 stimulus, the programs, grant opportunities that are available, new funding sources that are available. So every day there are new opportunities coming up available. So I take the time to research those and then I bring them to you. So like I just said about Magic Johnson, just came up with the funding program to help minority businesses, right? I'll be posting later. Lowe's just announced yesterday $25 million for minority business in forms of grants. So these are not loans, these are grants, okay? So it is really, I encourage you all to really go after the grants. They're on here. If you follow me, follow my page, either on Facebook or on YouTube. I put all the information out here every time I come across a grant. These grants have short timelines. Sometimes the timeline is they open it up and you have 2 days to submit your information. So I always say, stay ready. Have your portfolio already ready, your headshot, your bio, right? Your financials, all of these different things, so that when the opportunity comes, you're not struggling and scrambling to try to figure out, what you need to apply. Because again, you only have a short window to apply for a lot of these grants. And some of these grants are rolling. So some of them you apply for, they're rolling. You don't have to reapply. Some of them are rolling. If you missed out, if you applied and you didn't get it the first time, you have to reapply. So just read the details of each one, know when they're going to open up the application process, and follow it to see if you're going to get it. Okay, so you won't qualify for everything, but there's so many that you will qualify for. I think I've applied thus far to like 15 or 16 grants, right? And I use a spreadsheet and I track all of them on the spreadsheet, even multiple rounds of the same grant opportunity on the spreadsheet. So I'm always up to date. I know what's going on and I can follow up. So I encourage you all to do the same. So again, there's grants, whether it's a $500, $1,000, these are all great opportunities. There's $5,000 grants, $10,000 grants out there available. And I encourage you, I can't post all of them. I see a lot of them. But when it comes to your city, your county, and your state, I encourage you to check yourself, right? Google it. Check with your urban leagues, your women business centers, your minority business centers in your area, your county business center, your state Secretary of State office. All of these government offices has a business arm to it. So you just connect with them and ask them what, if any grants do they have available right now for small business, or if there's any COVID-19 relief funds available. And you can Google COVID-19 relief grants, relief funds, and in your state or in your city, and then see what comes up, because literally they pop up every single day. I see a new grant, right? And I'm more for getting grants than loans. I think right now, and with all these programs, really, they should all be grants. Because again, these businesses didn't ask to be put in this predicament. So for them to be losing revenues and then taking on a loan and getting into debt, you know, and then trying to rise above that, and they're still not making revenue yet, is, you know, it's a disheartening position to be in. So like I said, with these, if it's a forgivable loan, like with the PPP, I recommend it if it makes sense for you, because it is essentially a grant as long as you meet the qualifications and you submit your paperwork. And if you're a solopreneur, you can't be $20,000. So if you netted $100,000 last year, that is a maximum of $20,833 that you can get for free. You can get forgiven. You don't have to worry about paying calculations on other employees because you don't have any. You're calculating it for yourself. I mean, I just can't get over it. That's why I keep talking about it, because I don't know if it's clicking for people that you can get $20,000 for free through the Paycheck Protection Program as a solopreneur. And that 75% that I told you, you pay the payroll, you are the payroll. So you're paying yourself. Then you just use the other 25% to pay non-payroll costs. So, you know, it can be a great program. These are great programs if you make it work for you. And if you're having challenges, don't be afraid to follow up, build a relationship with your banking institution, call them if you're having any problems or you need help through the application process, whether you're applying for a loan now or you're following up and you want to apply for your forgiveness, okay? And if you need help, please let me know. I am offering assistance for people that are filling out these applications. I'm not allowed to charge, but I do get a fee through the bank. So we need to figure out how we work that out. But any of these, we call it agents. So if we're helping facilitate the process for you, we cannot charge you, the small business owner. So just know that. So if somebody's charged you to help you with your application, they're not supposed to do that. They're supposed to get paid through the bank, okay, or volunteer the information for free, okay? So this is free information to you all. I hope this was helpful information for you. Like I said, there's information here in the description. I'll drop more information in the comments. Please do, if you come onto this broadcast, please do say hi. Let me know what business you're in, what industry. Feel free to drop your link in the comment, because we're in this together. We need to support each other, you know, through this time. And this is a time, you know, I know a pandemic is happening, but this is a time for great opportunity. This is a time to reset. This is a time to transform. This is a time to learn something new, gain a new skill set that maybe you didn't have before, to make a shift in your business. So maybe you had lost your passion and purpose. This is a time to rediscover that. And maybe that leads you in a new direction. Maybe this is a time to really hone into a gift that you were overlooking, and you're being called now, like a lot of people due to this pandemic, to really bring your gifts forward, right? Sometimes things that we do as a hobby, or we take it for granted. Like we're like, oh, well, nobody will be interested in this. Like so many crafters out here making money now because their work, their gift is in such high demand, right? So know that you have gifts and that your gifts will make room for you. So be open. Let your gifts make room for you, right? Stay encouraged out here, right? Your business is important. Your products, your services are important. Don't be afraid to market, to sell during this time. I know there's a lot of trepidation around that. The big businesses aren't afraid or scared to make money during this time. You need to make money. Your business needs to make money. So you do that even in these times. There are people that are still buying. There are businesses that are still buying, right? But the question is, are you selling? Are you getting in front of your audience? And are you selling them? Are you letting them know that you're available, right? And that you can help them, you can provide them with the solution, right? So don't be scared. Show up boldly, unapologetically. Go after your money. Go after everything that you want in life. This is the time to do it. Focus on you as entrepreneurs. So many times we focus on so many other people, but I think this is the time that we can focus on ourselves and really look at, what do we really want for ourselves? What do you really want for your business? and focus on that, making the plan and implementing that, using this time wisely to do that, to make it work for you, because this is a great opportunity no matter what it looks like. There's opportunity. There's a divine opportunity here, and I want you all to take advantage of that. So I thank you so much for tuning in